Hello, friends. Today we head into the forests of New York, where the British tried to slice the colonies in half and ended up biting off more redcoat than they could chew. Let's rewind. It's 1777. The British have cooked up a shiny new strategy, a three-pronged plan to isolate New England and crush the rebellion like a stale biscuit. The idea? General John Burgoyne would march south from Canada through New York, while two other forces moved in from the west and south. The plan looked fantastic on paper, like a bad rom-com where everyone assumes things will go perfectly. Spoiler, they don't. Burgoyne, nicknamed Gentleman Johnny, brought along 7,000 troops, 30 wagons of personal baggage, and a strong belief that this would be a walk in the park. He even packed his own wine glasses and silverware, because nothing says battlefield readiness like a formal dining set. But the Americans weren't about to roll over. Local militias, frontier fighters, and a growing continental force began slowing Burgoyne's progress with hit-and-run attacks, felled trees, and the classic colonial move. Surprise! We're everywhere. Meanwhile, the other British columns never showed up. Delays, confusion, bad coordination. Call it the 18th century version of a group project falling apart. Enter Horatio Gates, the American general in charge of the defense at Saratoga, and a man with eyebrows so stern they probably issued commands of their own. But the real star of the show? Benedict Arnold. Yes, that Benedict Arnold, before he went full traitor. Arnold, fiery and fearless, disobeyed orders and led a wild charge that broke the British lines. His horse was shot out from under him, and he was wounded, but the Americans won. Big time. Burgoyne, stuck, surrounded, and out of options, surrendered on October 17, 1777. Nearly 6,000 British and Hessian soldiers laid down their arms. It was the kind of victory that made even skeptics stop and say, wait, they might actually pull this off. And across the Atlantic, someone was listening very closely. France. Now, the French weren't just watching for entertainment. They hated Britain, old enemies from the 7 Years' War, and they loved the idea of sticking it to their old rival. But they needed proof that the Americans weren't going to fold like a bad hand of cards. Saratoga was that proof. Enter Benjamin Franklin, who'd been in Paris dazzling the French with charm, wit, and a fur hat that somehow made him look like a fashionable philosopher. Franklin worked the salons like a rock star of the Enlightenment. He talked freedom, liberty, and independence, sprinkled with just enough anti-British spice to impress his hosts. After Saratoga, France finally said, "Allons-y," and signed a Treaty of Alliance in 1778. Boom. America now had naval support, money, weapons, and soldiers. Britain suddenly wasn't facing a bunch of rebellious farmers anymore. They were facing a global war. This, friends, was the turning point. It didn't end the war, but it flipped the board. Still, before liberty could sail on French winds, it had to survive one more test. One colder, harsher, and lonelier than any battle so far. So grab your wool blankets and brace for frostbite, because next time we march into episode 16, Valley Forge, Winter of Resolve, where revolutionaries became soldiers and snow became steel.